This is what 200 miles per hour looks like on two wheels. Here are the top 7 fastest motorcycles ever made. This is where things really get serious. The Ninja H2R isn't street legal, and it wasn't built for daily riding either. So what makes the H2R different from every other superbike that claims huge numbers? So the H2R uses a 998 cubic centimeters inline 4, and at first, that doesn't sound special at all. A lot of superbikes are around that size, so you might think, okay, what's the big deal here? But then you notice something important. This one is supercharged and not turbocharged, and that changes everything. See, turbos need exhaust gas to build pressure, so there's always that tiny weight when you twist the throttle, even if you barely notice it. A supercharger doesn't wait. It's connected straight to the engine, so the moment you move your hand, the power is already there. And because of that setup, the H2R makes around 310 horsepower and closer to 320 when ram air kicks in at high speed, which is honestly crazy for a 1-liter bike. But again, it's not just about the number. This engine revs past 14,000 RPM, and at those speeds, air becomes just as important as fuel. So Kawasaki didn't just bolt on a supercharger and hope for the best. And here's what people don't think about. Once you're past 200 miles per hour, speed isn't the main problem anymore, stability is, which is why the H2R has those carbon fiber wings creating real downforce to keep the front wheel planted. Now, that's the extreme end of speed, but number 6 takes a very different approach. Number 6, Suzuki Hayabusa, first generation. Before this bike arrived, there was this rule everyone followed. Street bikes weren't meant to cross 200 miles an hour. Some got close, but actually breaking that line with a showroom bike felt off limits. Then, in 1999, Suzuki ignored all of that and released the Hayabusa. And suddenly, the rules were gone. How did a company known for practical sport bikes suddenly build something that could run close to 200 miles per hour straight from the factory? At first, Hayabusa was this huge 1,299 cubic centimeters inline 4. And yeah, that already tells you a lot. While most bikes were still playing it safe with 600s and 1000s, Suzuki just went bigger. More size meant more air, more fuel, more torque everywhere. It made around 175 horsepower, which was crazy at the time, but what really mattered was how usable it was. It had strong internals, a big cooling system, stable fueling, all of it designed so the bike wouldn't feel stressed when it was running flat out. Then there's the shape, which people still talk about. Yeah, it looks bulky, but that body wasn't random. Suzuki spent serious time in wind tunnels smoothing everything out, just to cut through the air better. The long wheelbase played a part too. Where other sport bikes felt twitchy at high speed, the Hayabusa felt calm and stable. That's why people fell in love with it, and even in stock condition, it was already enough. And once Suzuki proved that extreme speed could be sold to anyone, the next question was, who was bold enough to push it even further? Number 5, Honda CBR 1100XX Blackbird. Before the Hayabusa took the spotlight, there was another bike quietly chasing the top speed crown, and that was the Honda CBR 1100XX Blackbird. When it launched in 1996, it wasn't trying to look aggressive or extreme, but underneath that bodywork, Honda had built something very serious. The real question is, what made the Blackbird so good at high speed when electronics were barely there? At first glance, the Blackbird doesn't look like it belongs on a list like this, and honestly, that's kind of the point. Underneath, it had a 1,137 cubic centimeters inline 4, making around 164 horsepower, which in the 90s was serious power, but Honda didn't tune it to feel wild. You didn't have to chase redline, all you had to do is just twist the throttle and the bike went smoothly. Honda also cared a lot about how the bike felt over time, not just in short bursts. They used dual counterbalancers to cut vibration, so even at high speed, your hands weren't buzzing, your mirrors weren't shaking, and the bike didn't feel tired. It felt comfortable being fast. Then there's the shape. The Blackbird's body was designed in a wind tunnel to slice through air, not punch it. Less resistance meant more speed without stressing the engine. And once Honda showed that speed could be calm and effortless, the next bike decided to do the exact opposite. Number 4, Kawasaki Ninja ZX14R. After the Blackbird proved speed could be calm, Kawasaki answered with the ZX-14R, packing a huge 1,441 cubic centimeters engine, long gearing, and a stretched frame that stayed stable at crazy speeds. Kawasaki started with a big, heavy sport bike, so how did it end up being faster than almost everything on the road? At the heart of the ZX-14R is a huge 1,441 cubic centimeters inline-4 engine. And yeah, that size alone already tells you what kind of bike this is. Kawasaki went big on purpose, and they used that displacement properly. It makes around 200 horsepower in stock form, even more with ram air, but what really stands out is the torque, because this thing pulls hard everywhere. Low revs, mid-range, top end, it doesn't matter. Kawasaki also built this motor to take punishment. Strong internals, big cooling system, stable fueling, everything designed to keep working even when the bike is pushed hard for long stretches. Then you've got the electronics, which really matter on a bike like this. Traction control, power modes, and launch control, all there to help you manage that power. Without them, riding this thing fast would honestly be tiring. The bodywork plays a big role too. That wide fairing isn't just for looks. It's shaped to cut through the air and keep the bike stable at high speed. That's what pure muscle looks like on two wheels. Let's see how number 3 does it without relying on size alone. Number 3 is 1000RR. Before this bike, most people thought of BMW as the company that made comfy long-distance bikes, not something you'd see around a racetrack. So when they suddenly showed up with a proper superbike, everyone was like, wait, BMW did this? How did BMW go from making touring bikes to building one of the fastest superbikes in the world? With the S1000RR, BMW didn't try to win with size. Instead of a massive engine, they built a tight 999 cubic centimeters inline-4 and focused on making every part of it work perfectly. It makes around 200 horsepower in modern versions and loves to rev, spinning past 14,000 RPM without feeling stressed, without feeling messy, just smooth and eager all the way up. And you can feel that focus on efficiency everywhere. The engine breathes better, spins faster, and wastes less energy. Everything inside this engine is working together. The light internals, the smart fueling, the way it pulls in air, all of it lined up so when you twist the throttle, the bike doesn't jerk or hesitate. Now add the electronics, and this is where BMW really got ahead of everyone else. You've got traction control, cornering ABS, wheelie control, ride modes, quick shifter, all running quietly in the background. The frame and suspension work the same way too. When you want to push, it feels sharp. When you want to relax, it feels stable. And even with all this tech packed in, the bike still feels light once you're moving, almost smaller than it looks. And that's what really made the S1000RR special. And that shift is what leads us to number 2. And here's the crazy part. So far, every bike on this list has chased speed in its own way. But the next two take a very different route. One feels like a race bike that barely belongs on the street, and the other doesn't even follow normal motorcycle rules. And by the time we reach number 1, you'll see just how far engineers were willing to go for speed. Number 2, Ducati Panigale V4. The Panigale V4 feels like a race bike that accidentally ended up with license plates, built using straight-up MotoGP lessons with very little concern for comfort. This bike was designed around performance first, and everything else just had to work around that. Ducati built a proper race engine, but how did they make it work on the street? With the Panigale V4, Ducati didn't try to make things easy. The 1,103 cubic centimeters engine sounds loud, feels alive, and pulls hard with about 215 horsepower that comes in fast and doesn't slow down. But here's the good part. It doesn't feel scary. The throttle is smooth, the power is clean, and the electronics quietly help you stay in control without taking over. It still feels like you are riding, not the computer. Then you notice how the bike feels. It's light, tight, and steady. The suspension works well, the brakes are strong, and the front wheel tells you what's happening on the road. Now, that was intense, but number 1 is where things get properly tested. Number 1, MTTY2 K Turbine Superbike. Up till now, every bike on this list used a normal engine with pistons and fuel, just faster and stronger versions of the same idea. The MTTY 2K throws all of that away and uses a real helicopter turbine instead. Yeah, an actual turbine. So this isn't really a bike anymore, it's basically a jet engine on two wheels. So how does a bike with an actual aircraft engine even work on the road? Most motorcycles are built in a simple way. An engine is placed inside a frame, wheels are added, and the rest is designed around that, but the MTTY 2K did not follow this idea. Instead of using a normal motorcycle engine, this thing runs on a real turbine, the same kind you'd find in a helicopter. And that one choice already makes it completely different from almost anything else on the road. From the start, this was never meant to be a racing bike or a daily rider. When the Y2K fires up, it doesn't sound like a motorcycle at all. You hear this smooth, rising whine, almost like a small aircraft warming up, and people notice it before it even moves. When the throttle is open, the power builds in a steady, continuous way. This happens because turbine engines work differently from piston engines. The Y2K produces around 320 horsepower and more than 500 newton-meters of torque. To manage this, the rest of the motorcycle had to be built very strong, so it uses a custom aluminum frame, and high-performance brakes to keep the bike stable and safe at high speeds. The exhaust produces extremely high heat, much more than a normal motorcycle. Despite how extreme it is, the Y2K is street legal. It can be registered, insured, and legally ridden on public roads, which makes it even more unusual. It proves that some of the most interesting machines are created when people are willing to move beyond normal ideas and try something new. From supercharged monsters to race-focused machines to an actual helicopter-powered bike, every one of these push limits in its own way. And that's really why they matter. I'm curious though, which one caught you off guard the most? And be honest, which one would you actually ride if you had the chance? If you enjoyed this, drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and stick around. We've got more coming soon.